We love to hate Slippy.
Yeah, and like
Get this guy off me!
There it is.
holy shit.
We both just...
See?
Lee got that in stereo.
The 90s were home to many a mascot based on adorable animals, and they could be found everywhere from platformer collectathons to on-rail sci-fi shooters. Today, Austin Hargrave, Gerard Khalil, Jared Knabenbauer, and Shane Gill join me, Forrest Ali, as we decide which group of animals we like more. It's Banjo Kazooie versus Star Fox 64, and this is madness.
So today, we're talking about some anthropomorphic animals. Alright guys,
I like the connection. Did you just come up with that, or did you already have it?
if it impresses you more, I just came up with it.
I'll just pretend to believe you then.
I'm going to open with this. I want to hear what Gerard has to say. Because I know how much you love Banjo Kazooie.
Okay.
So I want to hear like everything about Banjo from you.
It's Gerard struggling here.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I go first, and really around that, every game I vote for loses.
You can veto. You don't have to listen to him. He's not the host.
I
really want to hear what Gerard has to say.
Never mind, dude. You're screwed.
Alright, how about this? Star Fox 64. So good, they remade it 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they reused a lot of the same stuff from Star Fox 64. A lot. So, that's how good it was.
Do a barrel roll!
If we're talking about platformers on the N64, I think Banjo is probably the more superior of them all because it looked at Mario 64 and said, how do we make it different and how do we make it interesting? Mm-hmm. And I think, for example, and I'm a big person about optimization for time, and I think one of my favorite things from Banjo is when you get a jiggy. You know, goes in the backpack, yo hop, move on.
That was too good.
That is not the first time you have done that.
In public, yes. So, whereas with Mario 64, you jump in the painting, the task, you come out. So, I think the advantage that Banjo has over most of the games is that there were things before it, things after it. It breeds characters. It breeds fun. The plot is just... It's not that important for like the sake of like a video game, but you immediately get the dynamic of Banjo together with Kazooie. They hate each other, they love each other, they fight. You know, even Gruntilda. Gruntilda's a great villain because she sucks at being a villain. She sucks at talking, and she's annoying and frustrating. And as Banjo and Kazooie, you just have such a fun time exploring her. I'm just reviewing the game right now. Well, I'm Game Plus Banjo Kazooie. How's it going?
I definitely want to hear your opinions because I know you really like Banjo Kazooie. This is, I think, the only game on the list I've never played. So in my head, all I'm just trying to compare it to in my head to Donkey Kong 64 because that's like the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah, Donkey Kong 64 is very much like Banjo Kazooie, but with a whole lot more packed into it. I would argue that Banjo Kazooie is a more refined experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Simply, like,
It's also less is more.
I like how you unlock
absolutely.
the characters. I like how you unlock the characters.
Less is more, but specific as well. There's deliberate choices in Banjo, whereas with DK, it's like, put them all in, put them all in. It's got the most collectibles out of any game out there.
So that's fascinating because when I played Banjo, I had that sensation of there are way too many goddamn collectibles. And that really turned me off to the game. And I didn't even play Donkey Kong 64, so I can't imagine how bad that is.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the beginning of the collectathon genre.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that sort of grew into the PS2.
I guess
Banjo came before Donkey Kong, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Jim, what do you think?
I think they're both good games.
all right, next.
I think Banjo Kazooie, I guess in some ways it did improve on Mario 64, but in other ways it doesn't feel as tight of an experience either. I think it has a better world, maybe.
Big open sandbox kind of thing.
More like a cohesive story, less abstract. Star Fox 64, or Lilac Wars, where I came from.
Wait, what? Say that again?
It was called
Lilac Wars?
Yeah.
In Europe, yeah.
Did you know?
Star Fox, more refined experience because it's more tailored and on rails, like similar to what I said about Pokemon Snap.
But you could still choose where to go.
absolutely.
It was an
the
on-rail
branching paths
shooter
were what
with
made
branching.
Star Fox.
I think, and your skill kind of determines what you do with the game.
Yeah, and you know those branching paths just added exponentially more replayability because you could do. I don't even want to do the math on how many different route variations there are.
Yeah.
On the screen here. Thank you, Internet.
Thank you, Future Lee.
Yeah. Well, you just gotta Google it. Google it.
This is horrible.
There was so much there was a lot of content in Banjo, like absolutely, but there was so much more replayability in Star Fox 64 simply because of all those different.
Star Fox more replayable, but Banjo Kazooie has more in it.
Yes.
That is my major thing that I like about Star Fox 64. I was just thinking about this the other day, how replayable it is, and the more you branch off and do, because if you just kind of go the basic route, it's a pretty basic space shooter. You move from level to level, it's kind of like pretty basic. But when you start unlocking the secret routes, you get to some like pretty cool levels. Like there's a submarine level at one point.
Yeah, that level sucks.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I didn't think it sucked.
Water levels.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right, but
I'm just gonna say, I don't think replayability matters much at all. To be honest,
Yeah.
I would rather just play through a game once, and that one playthrough is the full experience of the game.
yeah, I agree to an
that's fair.
extent.
Here's an interesting argument. A big point between the two is which one is a better single-player experience, because Star Fox does have a multiplayer mode, but I don't feel the
forgot.
multiplayer mode was so good
It was
that it
pretty-
was genre-defining, or you want to slap it back
I
in.
forgot there
It's
was.
bare bones.
I think playing Star Fox with friends, I spent more time playing it on my own with friends around
Oh,
me
yeah.
or watching the
It was a
stream
better-
rather than playing multiplayer.
It was a better single-player game than multiplayer. Like, it had the multiplayer, and I certainly played it with, like, my brothers and friends, and it was a fine distraction, but it didn't maintain our attention span like so many other N64.
It's too hard to hit people. I do think, to kind of piggyback off of what Shane was saying, I agree that we had brought this up before, that I would rather play a shorter game. I don't care as much about replayability. I do feel like Star Fox it is replayable, but I mean, that was the game that it was replayable. Like, it was designed to be replayable and to do all the different routes. So it wasn't that, like, oh, you could beat the game and then you could replay it and maybe see some different things. I mean, that was how it was designed to be that way.
To credit Star Fox, the one thing we haven't talked about yet, which ended up becoming such a revolutionary thing, was the frickin' Rumble Pack. This thing was packaged with the game, and everyone going forward was like, "Holy crap, we should put that in our thing." Next thing you know, the DualShock appears.
Yeah, I was about to say, was that the first?
Oh yeah, it was.
It was the very first
insane.
game
I
to
didn't know
have
that. Yeah.
rumbling feature in a way where everyone wanted it. So people were buying Star Fox 64 not just for the game, but the fact of, oh dang, I can now have a Rumble Pack feature that goes forward in the rest of my N64 experience.
Okay, important factor though. Take that Rumble Pack out. Is the game better or worse, or is it the same?
The same, pretty much. Oh, well, I mean,
It depends.
add some stuff.
I'd say
to the
it's
game.
better.
If you go back in time when we were young kids playing it, it infinitely made the game better.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Right,
Yeah.
but now we scoff at it because if our phone doesn't rumble, we get pissed off, right? Like, it's assumed that that Rumble Pack isn't integrated into every platform and every controller.
Which goes to its credit, obviously, because it was the first thing, and now we take it for granted.
Absolutely. And just for the record, I love both games. I'm for both, so it's very difficult for me to decide which one is the
Something
better.
that I think both of these games have in spades, but they're very, very different, is character. And I'm not just talking about the actual characters. I'm talking about the tone of the world and like how defined they were.
I feel like they both crush it.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do
like
such a good job.
Banjo is this like cartoony Saturday morning experience, and Star Fox is this pastiche of a whole bunch of sci-fi tropes.
Like a lot of 90s cartoons, like that kind of...
Yeah.
but also like the puppet Muppet aspect of it
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Oh, the voice acting was so cool. Like, that's iconic.
Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
The voice lines in Star Fox 64 are there aren't a whole lot of game sound bites that are burned into my brain.
Yeah.
Do a barrel roll.
Go barrel.
I mean, even just stuff like Fox, that was one of ours.
Yeah.
It's kind of hit like that Star Wars prequel memes level where
Yes.
every line is like its own iconic
Yes.
thing.
Don't ever give up, my son. Father!
Yeah, exactly.
I can recite the whole game level by level.
Yeah.
That being said, like it didn't have voice acting the same way, but Banjo Kazooie, like
You got the tone of the character through the voice.
Oh,
absolutely
absolutely.
the like.
I played Star Fox 64 far more than I did Banjo Kazooie, But I feel like when it comes to which one is like a better single player experience and you get more out of it, I'm leaning more towards Banjo right now.
I feel like I am as well, and I think even though Star Fox 64 is a really good game, the replayable nature of it means that those first few levels, you see them a lot. You have to play through that first world.
They're not too long.
Yeah, but you have to. It's kind of like imagine booting up Banjo and having to like do Spiral Mountain every time you want to play.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want to get to this new world that you have to unlock.
Yeah.
Great, I have to boot up Spiral Mountain and then go into Rusty Bucket Bay, and then I'm there.
Yeah, and if you're doing a run in Star Fox where you're trying to do something really specific and you pick up in one level.
And to piggyback off what Jared said, the remakes and the remasters of this, including in Star Fox Zero, and trust me, I'm the only person in that actually likes Star Fox Zero, this is a trait that continued and actually hindered the experience as it went on, because the ability to jump in and play was limited for those first moments of you playing the game for the first time.
I'm kind of wondering if my vote's even going to matter on this. I feel like maybe you guys are all going for the same thing, but can
Austin, you matter.
Thanks, Lee. I need you guys, though, to convince me a little bit more, because as someone who hasn't played the game, I'm really not seeing what you guys are saying. I don't understand. What is it that makes it, Banjo, a good game that still lives up to... Because I could play Star Fox now.
It's very good at feeling like an adventure, like a long adventure where like things unfold.
Huge.
Yeah. In a similar sense to Ocarina of Time feels like an adventure as you go through the game.
Are you just trying to get me on the adventure thing because you think that's going to work? Next.
Sorry, do you think I watch your videos?
I played the crap out of Star Fox though, and again, I barely played Banjo because when I first played it, I didn't like it that much. I mean, from a personal standpoint, I fell out of like the kind of platformer era right around Nintendo 64. So I never played Crash, never played Spyro, never played Donkey Kong 64, never played Banjo Tooie. I played the crap out of Star Fox 64. But I feel like even from the outside looking in, just based on what everyone else talks about and everyone else says about Banjo, I think Banjo's the better one. Am I wrong in this? As someone who's only more or less exclusively played Star Fox.
Well, I think Shane just said it best with the adventure thing, right? Like, if you look at Star Fox 64, you learn the scope of each world and how Andros has kind of policed them pretty early on. And while there are some levels where you meet Bill or you meet Cat, it's like your cast and crew in Star Fox is pretty limited to the enemies you're fighting and the bosses. Whereas in Banjo Kazooie, every world has different characters, different needs to be there, a different reason to be there, as well as the traditional stuff of, oh yes, you have to get the Jinjos to get the one Jiggy and save them. You have to.
You're saying gibberish to me right now.
You have to.
You gotta get the Jigos.
You have to get the Mumbo tokens to transform. And
now you're making stuff up.
Well, that's the thing is that in every level of Banjo, you walk in and you're like, oh, there's Mumbo tokens. What am I going to turn into? What's the mystery there?
So Banjo was so inherently boring and uninteresting. They had to find anything for it to become to make the game.
Something that I think Star Fox has over Banjo is the actual characters, right?
Yeah, they're
memorable. Yeah, you don't get anyone outside of the main crew and Cat and Bill and Star Wolf when they show up.
But every boss.
Yeah. Every boss is has their own character. There's a fucking Train Dude. Remember Train Dude?
Yeah, I remember Train Dude.
Yeah.
You have a rival squad.
Yeah.
You kill them, and then they come back later.
As robots.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
We love to hate Slippy.
Yeah, and they're
off me!
There it is.
Holy shit.
We both just
See?
Lee got that in stereo.
yeah.
Yeah. So Gerard, if I sat you down right now and said, which game would you rather play, Banjo or Star Fox 64? Think about that.
Also, Banjo's not in Smash.
Snap. Got him.
Don't pull that. We're talking about that. That's a whole different.
I keep coming back to it. Which one is the better 64 game? 'Cause that's what this is about.
Well, arguably, platformers are a huge part of the N64, and Banjo Kazooie definitely helped spark that trend.
Also, keep in mind that it was a console that didn't work with shooters that well, and this was Star Fox was one of the shooters that really defined that genre on that system.
More or less, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's that GoldenEye and Pokemon
It's
Snap.
a bit of a
Yeah,
stretch.
Pokemon Snap, my favorite shooter.
Winback? Anyone? Anyone. All right.
Literally anyone?
What the heck?
All right, yeah. So we're gonna have to vote, Gerard. I feel like I know yours. If you want to open up.
I think it's Banjo. I think Banjo holds up very well today. It's very accessible. There's a character that grows. There's purpose. There's adventure. That's the thing, is that every aspect of it is every level. There's something to conquer. It's fun. It's from the minute you boot it up to the very end, you're having a great time.
I think going into this, I was like actually going to say Star Fox, but talking about it made me remember how much fun I had with Banjo, and so I'm going to say Banjo Kazooie.
As someone who loved Star Fox 64 and barely played Banjo Kazooie, like I barely ever played it, to the point where I would basically say I didn't play it at all. Like, that's how little experience I had with it and how little I remember. That said, I would probably vote Banjo. Just based on what I know about it and how everyone else talks about it and the things you can do in it. And as much as I love Star Fox 64, it has a lot of weak areas in it. Like, multiplayer is just okay, and there are a lot of stupid levels that I hate doing. And really is just like a 45-minute experience that you play over and over again. So as someone who's never played it, I'll vote Banjo.
I'll throw Banjo in.
Get on that bandwagon, buddy!
I fucking hate Banjo Kazooie.
Really? What?
Yes. It's so out of the tone that I like.
What's your Twitter handle again, Lee? just for the people watching?
I don't think I necessarily like Banjo Kazooie either. Like I'm not a fan of like that kind of collectathon platformer. It's not my genre anymore, but I think it's a better Nintendo 64 game.
Well, my vote's for Star Fox.
It's a good game.
I really should have done my homework better and played Banjo Kazooie before we got here. I mean, I was kind of joking when I threw Banjo. I think actually I'm going to say Star Fox. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. I'm going to say Star Fox because I really, it's genuinely one of my favorite N64 games.
Anyone else want to change their mind?
Did it for the lulz.
Yeah, I'm voting Glover.
Where's Harvest Moon 64, by the way? Now that we're on this.
Yo, man, the fans chose the bracket. They're the ones.
What the heck, guys? Harvest Moon. Give me some Harvest Moon love in the comments.
Yeah, they chose the bracket, and Harvest Moon was definitely on that poll.
yeah, that was see, I remember it wasn't even on the poll. Whatever, it's not the best Harvest Moon game anyway, so I'll let it slide.
Yeah, so that was a weird bracket, honestly. They're kind of alike in the designs of their main characters.
They're so hard to compare.
Yeah.
gameplay-wise, though.
Yeah. We had a couple of those, but that almost makes them fun in a way, because like it's almost just frustrating to discuss, like Majora's Mask versus Ocarina of Time, whereas two completely different games you get more interesting discussion.
Which is weird because we talk about a lot, like, which one's a better 64 game. We talk about multiplayer, like the essence of the 64, and I don't think Star Fox had that essence in it.
It wasn't one of those games that you pulled out when friends.
That's fascinating. Right. Well, you guys are absolutely right on that, like absolutely. But this was, I think, the console-defining game for me.
Star Fox?
Yeah.
Biased!
It was one of the biggest...
yeah, absolutely, I was biased on this one.
It was by far one of my favorite N64 games, too. I mean,
Yeah.
I had never really thought it out, but it's got to be top 5 for me.
Yeah, I can't think of an N64 game I played more. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, the only one, like I said, the closest I can come to is DK64, and I like that game, but it would come anywhere close to Star Fox, so...
Well, you know what? The loser's bracket is going to be intense.
Yeah. The loser's bracket's more interesting than I thought it was going to
be. Dang. Banjo.
Which game do you think should have moved on? Let us know below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for new episodes of Madness every Tuesday and Thursday. Also, we still have a survey going on our Twitter at NormalBoots so that you can help us decide the bracket for the next season of Madness on 90s cartoons. In the meantime, go check out other episodes of Madness.